By the time the first snow reached the Montana Valley, everyone at Crowe Ranch knew that Anna Crowe was carrying a child. What nobody knew was that 3 women inside the ranch house had already begun whispering about how to make sure that child never inherited his father's land. Elias Crowe was one of the wealthiest ranchers in the territory. His cattle filled miles of open pasture, his barns were always full, and his name carried enough weight that men in town removed their hats when he entered the bank. He had 4 wives. Clara, his first wife, was stern and proud. Ruth had a gentle face but a sharp tongue when she felt threatened. Margaret was quiet, observant, and rarely showed what she was thinking. None of the 3 had children. Elias had never blamed them. He had spent years accepting that perhaps his ranch would one day pass to a distant nephew. Then Anna arrived. She was 24, the youngest of the 4, and unlike the others, she had grown up poor. Working beside her widowed mother on a small farm, she had married Elias because she loved him, not because she wanted his money. For the first time in years, Elias laughed freely. He would sit beside Anna on the porch at sunset, listening while she spoke about the little school she once dreamed of opening. Then one morning, Anna placed a trembling hand over her stomach. "I think there is a child coming," she whispered. Elias stared at her. For several seconds he could not speak. Then his face broke into a smile. "A son? Perhaps?" He took her hands.
"Son or daughter, that child will have a home."
Anna believed him. Clara did not. That evening, the 3 older wives gathered in Clara's bedroom. "If it is a boy," Clara said, "everything changes." Ruth looked toward the closed door. "Elias will give the child the ranch." Margaret remained silent. Clara turned to her. "You know what that means." Margaret finally spoke. "It means we will have nothing." That was the fear binding the 3 women together. They had spent years believing the ranch would eventually be divided among them. Elias had promised each wife security, but none of them had ever seen the legal papers. Now Anna's pregnancy had made them afraid. A child could change everything. The next morning, Anna found her sewing basket moved from the porch. The following day, her horse had been saddled without her asking. Then someone placed a strange letter beneath her pillow. The letter claimed that Elias had secretly promised the ranch to Anna before their marriage. Anna knew it was false, but she also knew someone wanted her frightened. She took the letter to Elias. He read it twice. "Did you write this?" "No." He looked at her. "Then someone wants you to think I don't trust you." Anna's eyes filled with tears. "Do you?" Elias stepped closer. "I trust you more than I trust anyone in this house." That answer should have ended her fear. Instead, it deepened the mystery. A few nights later, Elias overheard Clara and Ruth arguing in the hallway. "You promised it would be settled before winter," Ruth whispered. "It will be," Clara answered. Elias stepped into the doorway. Both women froze. "What will be settled?" Clara forced a smile. "Nothing." Elias watched them carefully. For the first time, suspicion entered his heart. He began spending more nights in the barn office, pretending to work while quietly observing the household. Then he discovered something that changed everything. Inside an old trunk belonging to Margaret, he found copies of the ranch papers. His will had been altered. The original document left the ranch equally divided among his wives and any future children. The altered copy left everything to Clara, Ruth, and Margaret. Someone had forged his signature. Elias confronted the 3 women. Clara denied it. Ruth began crying. Margaret said nothing. Then she whispered, "We were afraid." "Afraid of what?" "That you would forget us." Elias stared at them. "You thought having a child meant I would throw you away?" Clara's voice became bitter. "You love Anna differently." Elias could not deny it. "Yes," he said quietly, "I do." The room went silent, but Margaret suddenly stepped forward. "We never meant to hurt her." Elias looked at her. "Then what did you mean to do?" Margaret could not answer. Ruth finally confessed. They had planned to send Anna away before the baby was born. They had arranged for a distant relative in another territory to offer Anna a supposed inheritance. The plan was simple. Convince Anna that Elias no longer wanted her, get her out of Crowe Ranch, and make sure she stayed away until the child was born. But Clara had made the plan darker. She had arranged for Anna to leave on a dangerous winter journey without telling Elias. The stagecoach route crossed a mountain, past where storms could trap travelers for days. Elias felt the blood drain from his face. When was she supposed to leave? Tomorrow morning. He ran. Anna was already at the stable. A wagon stood beside the barn. She was holding a small suitcase. Elias stopped several feet away. Anna. She turned. I was going to tell you. Tell me what? That Clara said you wanted me gone. Elias closed his eyes. Anna, look at me. She did. I never asked you to leave. Tears ran down her face. Then why did they say you had changed your mind? Because they were afraid of losing what they believed belonged to them. Anna looked toward the house. Did they try to hurt my baby? Elias paused. They planned to send you away in a winter storm. Her hand moved instinctively to her stomach. For a moment, anger flashed across her face. Then it disappeared. I don't want revenge. Elias looked surprised. What do you want? I want to feel safe. He took off his coat and placed it around her shoulders. You will. That night, Elias gathered the whole household in the dining room. The three older wives sat together. Anna sat beside him. Elias placed the forged will on the table. I spent years believing a family was built by promises, he said. Tonight I learned that promises mean nothing without trust. Clara lowered her head. Ruth was crying. Margaret looked broken. Elias did not call for the sheriff. Instead, he gave each woman a choice. They could leave with a fair settlement and begin new lives elsewhere, or remain at the ranch under strict legal agreements that protected everyone, including the unborn child. Clara refused to apologize. She left 3 days later. Ruth stayed long enough to admit that jealousy had consumed her. She eventually chose to leave as well, accepting a small house and enough money to live independently. Margaret was the only one who remained. She had not wanted Anna harmed. She had been frightened and weak, but she had finally admitted the truth. Anna forgave her. Not immediately, but eventually. Winter came hard that year. Snow covered the fences and buried the cattle trails. Elias moved Anna into the warmest room in the ranch house and personally checked the fireplace every night. One evening, while the wind shook the windows, Anna found him sitting beside an old wooden cradle. You made that? He nodded. It isn't very good. She smiled. It doesn't have to be. He looked at her stomach. Do you still think it might be a boy? Anna laughed softly. I don't know. Elias rested his hand over hers. Then we will wait and see. Months later, when spring finally returned, the ranch heard the cry of a newborn child. It was a boy. Elias stood beside Anna with tears in his eyes. Outside, the cattle moved across green pasture beneath a bright morning sky. The boy would one day inherit the ranch, but Elias changed the legal papers before that could happen. The land would belong to the child, but only with conditions that protected Anna and ensured no one could ever use family against family again. Years later, people in town still talked about the 4 wives of Elias Crowe. Some remembered the jealousy. Some remembered the forged papers. But Anna remembered something else. She remembered the winter morning when she believed she had lost her home, and the man she loved crossed a frozen yard to tell her she was not being abandoned. The ranch survived. The family changed. And every spring, when Anna watched her son ride a small horse across the green fields, she understood that the greatest inheritance Elias had given them was not the land. It was the courage to choose love over fear.